Hi everyone, my name is Hao. I'm a teacher. I'm an English teacher. I have been teaching for over 12 years, and my teaching English is my passion, and I really love it. I'm talking a little bit about myself. I used to live in the United States for over 2 years, and when I lived there, I worked as an interpreter for like a kind of company that is about fertilizer. I was an interpreter and also a teacher. I taught Vietnamese there for Vietnamese children in a kind of Vietnamese community. I'm going to talk about my daily life. I usually get up early in the morning, like it depends on the day. Like if the previous day I had to go to the party, and I finished the party, for example, about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night at midnight. The next day I had to get up at around 7:30 or 8:30, but usually I go to bed at about 10:30 or 11:30. So the next day I can get up very early, about 5:30. I go jogging around my house, and I had breakfast with my family. I usually cook breakfast for my family, such as instant noodles or sort of thing. That is it. Not very complicated things. After I get up, I take a shower, and then I get dressed for work. Like I go to work at 7, and I start work at 7:30. And it's also, it depends on my work. Like I have to attend the meeting. I had I have to go to work earlier, like 6:30 or 6:45, for example. But if I teach, I have to arrive the class at about 7:20, and I start teaching at 7:30. In the morning, I usually finish teaching at around 10:30 or 11. It depends on the schedule, or it depends on the class. But after that, I go home for lunch. I prefer to have lunch at home because we have the family atmosphere. We share things. We talk about study or the news of the day. After lunch, I usually take a nap. I took, like in Australia, let's say siesta. So I take a nap for about half an hour. But 20 minutes is the ideal time for me. In the evening, I have some classes, like two or three classes at home. I teach English for communication at home. Like I teach the students of the university. They like to speak English. They want to communicate with me, or some for foreigners, or they want to go to another country to study, or they want to get a good job in a foreign investment company, or sort of thing. So they come to my house every night, and I teach them for each class usually lasts 1.5 an hour, and then usually I have two classes in a night, and I finish usually at 8:30 or 9. So after the class, I usually go out for dinner or a supper. We say supper. Usually my friends call me after I finish class because they know my schedule, so I go with them for eating something. Like we have some chicken around, and we have some beer, 6 bottles. That's it. I'm talking about my weekend. Actually, I don't have very nice weekend, but I love it. I teach on the weekend too. I teach the children classes. I used to teach the children classes when I just finished university, but for about 2 or 3 years, I didn't teach the children classes because I've been too busy. Now I get back to teach the children classes because I think that they are very naughty. They are very they don't listen to the teachers, but I love to play with them. Like after in the break, I usually play soccer with them, and there's a yard in my house, so I usually play with them in the break time. And I love them, especially like I like them to speak English. Even very short sentences like "Teacher, how are you?" and "Goodbye, see you later, teacher." Or I teach them slang words too, like "How you doing?" "I'm doing great," sort of thing like that. And when their parents look at them, and they are proud of themselves. So I think that is my happiness. That's my pleasure to teach. I think it's not easy to teach the very young learners. It's so hard, right? So I love it. After that, I usually go shopping with my family. I take my daughter and my wife to the supermarket, and then we buy something for the family. It usually takes about 2 hours. Okay, then on Sunday I usually take a long nap for about 2 or 3 hours because I want to get energy back. I lost that. I'm talking about the reasons why I learned English before. Actually, I didn't learn English when I was young. There was no English program in school because I was born in the countryside. It was very far from the city. I didn't study English in the classroom. I would say that I started learning English when I was at grade 11. Yeah, but I could speak English when I was at grade 7. How come? It's so hard to believe it, right? Actually, I worked as a servant for the family. He's an American man. He married a woman in my hometown, and he need a person who serves, like who works for like cleaning up, like washing clothes, sort of thing in the family. And I came there to work for him for 5 years. For the first time, I didn't understand him, but after 2 or 3 years, I understood everything. And then I tried to imitate what he sounded. So I love it. And then like I spoke English when I was at grade 8 or grade 9. I don't remember exactly, but I think grade 9. I started to communicate with him. Like he asked me how you doing. I said I'm doing great, and I tried to pronounce the word exactly. Like I didn't know how to write, but I could speak at the time. And after graduation from high school, I went to university, and I decided to take probably major in English. I think that English is the international language, and people speak English all around the world. If I use it very well, I can get a good job. Like I can work for international companies, or I can communicate with native speakers, not only native speakers, but also non-native speakers around the world. Because English is a means of communication. I love it. I'm going to talk to you about how to stay healthy. I try to stay healthy every single day. I get up early and I go jogging around my house, and I have very balanced diet. I love eating vegetables and fruit and meat and rice. So my meal must be very balanced. I play soccer every like twice or 3 times a week. I usually play at 5 p.m. because I usually finish work in the afternoon at 4:30, and then I get dressed. I just get dressed very quickly and go straight to the football yard, and I practice. I had a soccer practice, or I play with my friends for about half an hour, sometimes 45 minutes, because I start the class in the evening at 6 p.m. Yeah, soccer is my favorite sport. That's the best sports I love. I'm going to talk about travel. Everybody loves traveling, right? Yeah, me too. I like traveling because it's very relaxing, and when you go traveling, you can know more about the culture of the region. You can know about like things like you can make more friends. You become very easygoing. You can be very easy to make friends with, or you can see new things around you, or you can see professional people around you, or you become very smart when you go to another place and you see the new things which are very modern, very up to date, etc. All right. And the most important thing about travel is we can explore a lot of things of the place, like people, local food, whatever. I'm talking about my house in Qatar City. That is a small house in Qatar City. I have 2 floors in the house. So the first floor I use that for teaching English and for eating in the kitchen. And for the second floor I have 3 rooms, 3 bedrooms. One for myself, one for my brother, but he moved to Japan now. So one room is for my mother. She died. She passed away 3 years ago. I use that to worship her. That's it. In front of my house there's a yard. I use that for parking. Like usually my students come to my house and they park there. They park the motorbikes there. and the yard can contain about 8 or 9 motorbikes. Uh, Behind my house, there is a small garden. I plant some vegetables and like morning glory, or I plant some fruit like papaya, mango, etc. That's it. And the last topic, I think that's it. All right. The next topic I'm going to talk to you about, that is advantages and disadvantages of living in the city. But time is over now. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.